The Mythic banner is here. Unfortunately, I'm in the middle of moving, so I don't really have everything set up, but let's just do a reaction and see what we're dealing with. See if we can have anyone who actually affects Ether Raids. Oh, okay, so we're getting the OC hero. Heidrun? Okay. Ooh, green infantry beast. Okay. What is that sprite? Oh my god, that's quite the sprite there. Okay, let's start at the top with Nectar Horn, her preference weapon. Okay, so we have Nectar Horn. This is slaying at start of player or enemy phase, so just like, hitting both of them. You're essentially going to do a resistance check, and if you win that resistance check, you're going to inflict attack and defense -7 on the foes, discord, deep wounds, that's correct, and then also a penalty that turns off non-special miracles. And then if the foe initiates combat, or if their HP current equals 75%, you get attack and defense -6, so some stats there. You'll get additional stats on the foe's defense and res equal to 20% of your visible res at start of combat. You get flat damage reduction based off 20% of your resistance. You also get a dull effect against their attack and defense buffs, so just turning off those visible bonuses for them. And you get special acceleration. And then lastly, you get the beast transformation effect for infantry units. So obviously this is a weapon to counter Ike, right? She's an anima defense mythic. That's what they're looking for. Deep wounds is the #1 thing to stop Ike, essentially. That's why everybody right now is just running like Fatal Smoke 4, including myself. And so essentially this is Fatal Smoke 4, but in a weapon, right? It turns off Miracle, you get the deep wounds effect. The thing is that we're going to test is if the cleansing from Micaiah will hit this. So essentially what you'll need to do is either the defense will have to apply enough debuffs that there's more than 2 on Ike, so that Micaiah cleanses something different. But I'll have to see the priority order again to see if Deep Wounds is high enough where it just gets taken off. Because if that's the case, you just bring Micaiah with Ike and he's still fine. The other thing, of course, is if you can win the resistance check with Ike versus Heidrun, then also this won't activate, right? But obviously this is a check on anima defense for Ike, right? They're trying to put in a counter for Ike, and this is a good way to do that. The thing is, I have to say, is that she is an infantry beast unit, which is not always the ideal thing you want on defense, right? I think the last time we've had a unit like that really is like Medius, right? And Medius works pretty well, so it's definitely possible, but we'll have to see. Because defense right now is very high threat range, and infantry doesn't typically work into that unless they're a ranged unit. Either way, let's talk about the new A skill, Stronghold. So this inflicts attack -3, you get defense and res +7, and at start of turn you're going to remove panic and any penalties to a defense and res. So this is very much similar to the other ones we've gone for life and death and Stillwater, but this is just the fortress defense res version of it, which is very, very good. So we have our preference skill, Divine Nectar. Essentially what this does is that if player or enemy phase, once again, you're going to apply Divine Nectar to yourself and any allies within 2 spaces. Essentially what this is going to do is if that unit has Divine Nectar and they do a rally or a movement assist skill, they're going to get another action. So this is kind of similar to like dual robbing kind of, right? So this is really, really strong on defense because a lot of times that's what you're going to be going for. A lot of times you want to have the unit jump forward, do a rally, and then get danced, and then go in and destroy them, right? That's exactly how my defense works currently. The difference now is that you won't need the dancer to do that, which is very powerful, and also it can be done by anyone who has Divine Nectar. And if you're building your defense team correctly, typically you're going to have most of your team within 2 spaces. There might be a few outliers on the side, but typically you're going to get this on everybody. Also, if the unit is within 3 spaces, she's going to get another attack and defense -5 during combat and guard. So just like, giving her a little bit more power in combat. But really the main thing is Divine Nectar, giving that extra action. And also itself neutralizing deep wounds during combat. So that is really interesting that she herself applies deep wounds, but then also she neutralizes it for her own team. This also has like a kind of Breath of Life 4 effect where it's going to restore 20 HP to unit as combat begins. So it won't be as big as Breath of Life 4, but 20 HP is still a ton, so that's really powerful as well. And then lastly, you're going to get 10 flat damage reduction if this is your first combat either initiated by you or the foe. So overall, very, very powerful. Okay, so when it comes to Heidrun's roles, what is she really doing? She is a support unit mostly. Like, obviously, she's going to be pretty bulky, and she can tank a little bit, but she's not trying to be like an omni tank or anything like that. She's kind of trying to be like a frontline unit who's difficult to take down, while also offering like ridiculously powerful support to the rest of the team. So that's very interesting. It's very much like a Medius for the current year, and Medius was very, very good. Now, Medius shut down Bolt Tower, which was very meta at the current time because of like catcher balls being so meta. And at this time, I'm trying to figure out exactly how Heidrun will fit into teams. She's obviously going to help a lot with rally traps, and rally traps are very good right now. The difference is that she can't attack from like range. And so like the way it currently have on most defense teams is like you kind of block off the bottom row and then you kind of like try to like force yourself on the enemy team and kill them like pretty quickly. She won't be able to attack there, but maybe her support should be strong enough where it doesn't really matter even if she is kind of a dead unit for combat, because the support she's offering is very, very powerful against units like Emblem Ike, who is obviously one of the most meta units in the entire game right now. So when it comes to game modes, like where are we going to see Heidrun? Obviously E3's defense is like her main game mode. That's definitely where we're going to see her the most. She technically should score high enough to fit really well into Arena as well on those Anima season like weeks. And then when it comes to some rules, I could definitely see her being used there as well. And the reason why is very simple, right? Like she gives extra actions out. So being able to like have your whole opening be like ridiculously powerful by just having like constantly like having swaps or repositions or drawbacks, but getting actions too is like ridiculously good. It's essentially going to like make it so that everyone is like a legendary Chrom or a duo Robin on your team, which is really, really powerful. Now it's going to depend on the map, of course, because some maps like the units are kind of spread out, so you won't be able to do get Divine Nectar on everyone. But in most situations, just being able to give up extra actions is really, really, really good. It also means that you're going to be able to stall really well, right? Like everybody's going to be Valentine's Lucina, where they can just keep doing swaps and getting extra actions, which is like really insane for your action economy. So I definitely think Heidrun could definitely show up in SD. She just has a lot of things going for her. Like her support is so powerful. I could definitely see her being used there. Oh, we are getting a double Mythic banner. I don't know why. I heard people talking about this, but we're getting a double Mythic banner. Here is Dear Bro. So we've kind of already seen him before when he was in the story. He is an Astra Mythic, so he's an offensive Mythic, of course. He does give the defense buff, though, and he is a colorless Cav, which is pretty interesting. So let's go ahead and jump into him. Okay, so we have his powerful mode, Quieting Antler. This gives Canto 2 as Slang. And at start of turn, he's going to give a visible attack and defense +6 to himself and any allies within 2 spaces, and bonus doubler, which is really nice. And then after that effect goes off, any ally within 2 spaces himself are going to get an additional +3 to any of those buffs. So any of those visible stat bonuses. So essentially, like if you have a +6, like let's say from a tactic, it will now be a +9. And so he himself will actually give attack and defense +9 to everyone, which is really strong. This is a max of 10, of course, because you can use like a Hone 4 to get 7 and then get another 3 from there. Typically, it will be +9 though, which is really, really strong. And if you can have a different way to get, speed and resistance, +9, which is just really, really, really good. Now, if he initiates combat or if there's an ally within 2 spaces, he's going to inflict a penalty on the foe's attack and defense equal to 6 plus 20% of his visible defense at start of combat. So just a massive daunt, which is very, very powerful. He's also going to get boosted damage equal to the highest total bonuses among himself and any allies within 3 spaces. It does not work with AoEs though, and he's going to get flat damage reduction equal to 50% of those bonuses as well. So this is very similar to a Shara, right? This is like almost exactly a Shara, which are fine. This shouldn't be true damage because it says plus X damage and not equals X damage, right? Which is usually the difference. If it says equal, it's usually true. So this should just be plus damage, which either way though, if you've seen a Shara, she hits really, really hard. So this can be an absolutely ridiculous amount of damage, right? 9 times 4, 36 damage boosted is a lot, right? And if you have 36, that's also 18 flat damage reduction, which is a lot as well. So he's going to be hit really, really hard and be very, very tanky as well. And then also he gets his beast transformation, of course, which is also very nice. We then have a new beast special. Finally, after so many years, we have a beast special, Fierce Beast. This is going to boost damage by X% of units attack when special triggers. If you're transformed, it's 25%. Otherwise, it's 20%. And then if the special triggers, you neutralize the foe's damage reduction. So this is a pretty good special in my opinion. It's only 2 cooldown, which is really, really nice compared to something like No Quarter where it's 3 cooldown, right? The 25% damage boost isn't the best, I'm not going to lie to you, especially being based off attack. You really do not want your specials to be based off attack currently because there's so many daunts running around, and when daunts hit you, your attack just gets reduced by a ridiculous amount. So that's kind of a downside there. I really wish it was something else, though it does make sense that like he is like an attack-focused, defense-focused unit. So it makes sense that it is based off attack. The transformation effect is kind of cool. I wish it was like a little more dramatic. Instead of 25% to 20, maybe it was like 30% to 20. And that way, like when you're like transformed, you're actually getting like a pretty big boost. But overall, it's pretty good. The main thing really is that it has DR piercing, which is so very big as Beast cannot run No Quarter. And I've been going absolutely insane about that. So being able to get a 2 cooldown special that actually lets you get through DR is amazing. I'm so happy about this. It's so very nice because you can really easily have this run, and then you can either put something like Times Pulse or some other pulse effect, and then put the IKE ring on it for your tanks. And then if you want to be a damage dealer, you can also just go with like the Celica ring and get boosted damage on it. So I'm very happy with this special overall. I'm just glad to see Beast finally getting something after all this time. We then have a new A skill, Attack and Defense Excel. This is the exact same thing as like Attack Speed Excel, where essentially you're gonna get like Attack and Defense +6, and then you'll get an additional Attack and Defense based off how many spaces you moved. And then you also get flat damage reduction based off the spaces you move to. So like if you move 4 spaces, you'll get 12 flat damage reduction, which is really strong, especially combined with his already existing flat damage reduction. You can get up to like +30 pretty easily, which is a ridiculous amount of flat damage reduction. He's be very, very tanky. And then you also get some more damage reduction if the foe is using an offensive special. So we have Divine Strength, his preference B skill. This removes the Beast transformation effect. And then at start of turn, after start of turn effects trigger, or player phase or enemy phase, like so all like the buffs go off and all that kind of stuff, he's gonna neutralize any penalty on himself, which is really cool because right, he's gonna be focused on bonus doubler and like boosting up those visible bonuses. So you really don't want to get like panicked or something like that, right? Because that would really downplay his power. So that's a very nice effect for him to have. He's also going to inflict another attack and defense -5 on the foe during combat. He's going to get guaranteed follow-up attack, and he'll 7 HP after combat. But then he has another effect where if he will do an attack check and a defense check. And if he wins the attack check, he gets attack defense -6 on the foe. And if he wins the defense check, he gets attack and defense -6 on the foe. So that's another -12 attack and defense on top of his already insane daunt he has built into his weapon. So like this unit is going to be insanely bulky, like ridiculously, like stupidly bulky, which is kind of nuts. He's going to be able to hit really hard as well. So he's going to be very, very scary when it comes to that. And then lastly, he has that C skill, Beast Threaten, which once again just inflicts defense -7 and panic on any foe within 3 rows or 3 columns that are on himself. And then at start of turn, if there is a foe within those spaces, he'll give himself a visible attack +6 and do a Times Pulse effect. So when it comes to Deer Boy, what exactly is his role? His main roles are going to be he's going to be a tank nuke with some supporting options, right? Those are like his 3 things he's going to be doing. Now, as an Eat the Raids offense unit, that is a bit interesting because like where do you exactly fit this unit in? As a support unit, he's definitely going to just be able to just fit into like essentially most teams because most teams want visible bonuses. They want bonus level, right? They just want to be more powerful, and he's going to give those options to them. But when it comes to outside of that, like where is he going to really fit overall? And the thing is like he doesn't really fit perfectly into Gale Force. He does have Slaying, which is nice, which is a 4 cooldown special, and he even has like the Beast Times Pulse, which means it will be a 3 cooldown special. But he doesn't have like any type of acceleration, right? And he doesn't have like any type of anti-guard, and so he definitely can Gale Force for sure. The number one thing I'd be afraid of is him just like killing on 1 hit and then just not proccing Gale Force. But he can definitely fit into that role. Like you just might need to give him some support or like some other types of builds to make it work. So when it comes to the 2 different mythics, I do think Heidrun is like the better mythic out of the 2. I think she offers a solution to a problem we currently have, which is Ike, even though I love that problem. So I think she'll be very powerful on anima defense. When it comes to Eikbyrnir's role on Eat the Raids offense, I don't think his role is as clear, and I don't think he's quite as necessary. He does offer some nice support, but I definitely think Heidrun is the better of the 2. Okay, let's move on to the final part of the video, should you pull. When it comes to some pros, we do have an amazing new set of mythics here. I think that like Heidrun is like actually just going to be a meta mythic, and so if you're really into Eat the Raids defense, especially on anima season of course, you're going to want to pick up at least 1 copy of her. I think she's going to do a fantastic job there, and if like people don't really prepare really well, she's going to be able to shut down a ton of Ikes, which I think is just like the most common strategy you can run into currently in Eat the Raids. So I think she has a ton of value. When it comes to our other mythic, I do think he is quite niche, though if you are like a beast fanatic like I am, he does have some very nice fodder on him which you could duplicate, so that is one reason to pull for him there. Outside of that, I think that there is some like good value in like Lear and Loki, and so if you need 1 copy or 2 copies of that, you can also go for that. But outside of that, I think that's like the main reason you should be pulling on this banner, because we do have some like really big things coming up. Of course, we have Choose Your Legends, which is like less than a month away. And typically, Choose Your Legends is a big banner with some new powerful skills and some powerful units as well, and there's 4 Spark. Some other cons, of course, is that we have the Summer Banner 1 and 2 currently running, so if you're trying to go for those units, that's also a good place to spend some orbs if those are your favorite units. And then also we have some like less than great shares in blue and red, and so you're mostly going to want to be sniping colorless and green in this situation, at least in my opinion. With that said, I'd love to hear from you now. What do you think of these 2 mythics? Do you think they're going to be enough to change Eat the Raids around? Do you think that Heidrun can save Eat the Raids defense from the menace that is Ike, or is she going to fall a little bit short? I'd love to hear about it, so drop a comment down below. Let me know all about your opinions. As always, I'd like to thank all my members for their constant support. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. This has been Oblivion. I'll catch y'all later with more Fire Emblem Heroes.